Welcome to the introduction to the Battle of Cool Springs, July 18th, 1864. This is part of my 160th playthrough videos featuring the battles of the Shenandoah. We're up to July 1864. We've passed through Early's raid and now into his retreat from the raid on D.C., Washington, D.C. So Cool Springs is a small scenario that's actually part of the extension of Death Valley. It deals with a very small footprint. As you can see, this is the map right here. It's about a quarter-size map and a very small set of counters. There is a few special rules, but not too much. If you know the core rules, you'll be able to pick that up pretty easily. But it's a very small scenario. It is only 5 turns as well, with an optional 6 turn if you so choose. But 5 turns. We're basically dealing with division versus division level. Actually, 2 divisions for the Confederates and probably one and a half maybe, for the Union with this. So a little bit of the backstory on this particular fight. It wasn't a very big fight, as it was just describing. The size of the units was not big, but this was the pursuit of Early after his raid. After he pulled out of attacking Fort Stevens, he moved back across and went back into Virginia through Snicker's Gap, which is down kind of at the point of where Virginia meets West Virginia in terms of the border between the 2 states, and crossed over in there. And Wright pursued him. Horatio Wright, who had come up from the Army of Potomac, pursued him to try to catch him and ultimately destroy him. That's what Lincoln wanted him to do. But part of this was that Hunter's Army of West Virginia, after its long retreat into West Virginia, came back through and eventually made it to Harper's Ferry and eventually over to hook up with Wright's 6th Corps, excuse me. And the 2 armies, the Corps and the Army of West Virginia, would form together and be sizable enough to defeat Early. But Early was more tactical on that, and also with, again, command confusion, I'll call it, on the Union side in terms of who was overall command of this pursuit. It wound up allowing Early to get back into the valley, and eventually the Union forces chasing him, eventually catching up to some of the rear guard here as it crossed the Shenandoah River, or as it was across the Shenandoah River, and consequently was trying to push and figure out where was going to be the best attack and how they were going to take on Early's retreating units. So, with that said, what are we dealing with the forces here? So, as I said, there was Early's retreating unit. So it was actually Breckinridge. We remember him from our zoom on that counter if I can. We remember him from the Newmarket, Battle of Newmarket. He was actually in command of this section of Early's Corps, and it consisted of both Wharton and Rhodes divisions of his corps, kind of moving in reserve, or I should say not reserve, but as rear guard. And what happened was, at this particular junction, Crook, who had now taken command from David Hunter, he wanted to aggressively attack and defeat Early's units. So he devised a plan of crossing the Shenandoah at this particular spot at Cool Springs, which, as I said, is right on the corner of the Shenandoah, or right on the corner of It's on the Shenandoah, of course. It's on the corner of Virginia and West Virginia. Let me just bring up this map. I showed this map before. If you look at number 6 right there, that's exactly where we are with Cool Springs. And just a little point on here, crossing, also called Island Crossing at the time. So if you see references for Island Crossing, this is the same thing. So Crook took his unit, his Army of West Virginia, namely Thorburns division. Okay, because Thorburn somewhere here, there he is, right there. He brought his division forward and also took Wells, the 1st Brigade commander, and had them advance across to try to figure out what was going on with the Confederates. The day before, some cavalry had tried this. They got repulsed back. So now Crook thought, well, maybe if we go do a reconnaissance in force, we can see what's going on, establish a bridgehead, and maybe open up some of the other roads, because there was another road down here off the map that actually had a bridge that was heavily guarded by the Confederates. And they wanted to take that as well, open up something to try to attack the rear of Early's forces. So he took basically Thorburns units. We have both Wells and Ely, their particular brigades, to cross the river, as well as some artillery from both his West Virginia Army, as well as some from the 6th Corps. Horatio Wright was on hand here as well. You see Wright is right there as well. He was on hand here as well to watch the action, although he did not have command. It was Crook who was actually in command of the operation. He was there to oversee and see what would happen and see if they could get across there, because his 6th Corps was behind in reserve, not too far away. It was looking to bring them up and cross and potentially, go after Early in the attack. So in this battle, what we're going to see is how it plays out. Historically, the Union crossed over here, moved out, fanned out across here, and then Breckinridge brought in Wharton and Rhodes to actually close out this little bridgehead and ultimately try to defeat it to keep the Union on the other side of the river. So we'll see how it plays out. Historically, the Union were pushed back. It was kind of a mid-range skirmish within here, but the Union was pushed back during some moderate to heavy fighting, particularly around this area here with these stone walls and this woods area over here. And the Union was ultimately pushed back over the river by primarily Rhodes's division, and kept the field for the day. So that's kind of the introduction to this. We're going to see how this plays out. Very short scenario, like I said, 5 turns. Small scenario should be okay. There are a few special rules in here as well, in terms of being able to use open order. On here, some Confederate sharpshooters, we'll be able to use those here as well a little bit, as well as some of the crossing of the river and the holding of the fords, and a few things about the artillery command and things like that over there. Not too much, like I said, just enough to kind of season this around. But we're going to try to get the Union across, establish a perimeter around here, because the key to this, holding these fords, that's going to derive some victory points, significant victory points, as well as the usual brigade combat ineffective and division combat ineffective points there as well. Also losses for artillery. We don't have any cavalry in this, so we will not be losing any cavalry points there as well. So we shall see how we do with this. I think that's about all for the introduction, and hopefully you enjoy. Stay tuned. I'll be doing segments on each one of the turns. So there's 5 turns, so probably be 5 segments in total, with a wrap up at the end on this one. So hope you enjoy this. Please like the video, and on to turn 1. Okay, we're back with turn 1. 3 p.m. turn of Battle of Cool Springs, 1864, July 18th, 1864. And the 3 p.m. turn, really is a short one because it's all Union movement. The Union gets the first turn pretty much for free. They get 3 activations. That's it. And basically, they're moving across the river through the fords and everything across there. A little bit tricky movement in terms of the costs and things like that. The fords are 2 points to cross, and some of this movement over here along the eastern hills are a little difficult to navigate, but easy to get done if you're only playing one side. So the way that it's worked out is Thorburn has sent wells over the river and set up basically a rough perimeter here initially. Ely has come on board over here, and they've snaked their way down and started crossing over the last turn. So we still have Thompson's artillery to come on and link up with the Army of West Virginia battery that's there, the Battery E, 1st West Virginia, over in there. So the plan for the Union is going to be this. We've got Wells across, we'll get Ely across. Ely will concentrate on the northern side over here, northern defense, and Wells will concentrate on the southern defense, and they'll share the defense up here towards the woods. They're basically going to build a bridgehead anchored on these 2 streams, Cool Spring Stream here, and this other one, which I know the name of it but can't think of it. I'll put it up later, across there, and try to hold out from the Confederate attacks when they come on, starting they'll start coming on this turn, but they won't start attacking right away. It'll be a little bit delayed on here as well. Another thing that we'll be able to do is to quickly build some hasty breastworks up here as well. We can build them in here, and that's going to be key to hopefully holding this side here and to the south over here, so that the Confederates can't bust through. Now the Confederates will be a little bit hamstrung because when Wharton comes on, if they do any sort of activations during the 5 p.m. and 6 p.m. Turn, and the 7 p.m. turn, any of those turns, they are going to be penalized by giving up a victory point to the Union. Or giving up victory points to the Union. So we're going to use them sparingly. They will probably array themselves across and be kind of the final attack. Rhodes is the big one that will be the attacker. They come on 1700 turn or 5 p.m. turn, somewhere over around here. Wharton comes over on here, this edge. And I'm thinking Rhodes is probably going to come here and drive here as quick as possible to try to break through the northern side of the defense on here and get to these hexes over here. These 2 hexes here, these 2 hexes here, and these 2 hexes over there, as quickly as possible to try to take away victory points, as well as try to BCE one of the units over there as well, one of the brigades there as well. So that's the first turn. Like I said, not really a lot of excitement in terms of what's going on here. Just trying to get the Union arrayed. Next turn is going to be the 4 p.m. turn, 1600 turn, where the Confederates are going to come on to the north, up here to here. Coming down this way, I should say, and this way, to position themselves. But it's going to be Wharton's group, so we'll see. There's not much going to go on, but maneuvering there as well. So let me get that started, and probably tack that on to this video here as well, because this one's a short one too. So we'll see you after 4 p.m. turn. Okay, back with turn 2. are at the end of turn 2, which is the 4 p.m. 1600 hour. So during this turn, we have Wharton coming on. They actually came on up here, roughly from here around to about here. They could enter. And basically they came in, they won the initiative. Confederates won the initiative, came in first, and moved essentially down this way, using the road as kind of the axis of advance, and then spreading out this way a little bit and this way a little bit so they could get around here. But we have Wharton setting up headquarters here with Smith's brigade in here, and setting up a line over here, kind of behind the hills away from the artillery. Also, one of Smith's units, the 69th North Carolina, came up here to be headquarters support for Breckinridge, who's positioned over here, so he can control both Wharton and Rhodes when he comes in the next turn. Then we had Forsberg come in. He came in down the road, actually, down around this way, because he has the 30th Virginia sharpshooters. And the sharpshooters don't have the restriction of not having an activation, so they can take pot shots here. So they're going to try to take pot shots over here at the 170th Ohio, manning this point. And then we have Patton behind here, in reserve. And I've positioned them there for one key reason. And that reason is, once we get to turn 1900, depending upon how Rhodes's attack over here is going, they will assault. Also, they can take pot shots over here, so I'm hopeful it'll maybe draw back one of these two units or the reserve units from Wells, into here to form our defense. Again, pulling units away from where the main attack is coming from of Rhodes's units over here. So that's how the Confederates look for 1400 turn. From the Union perspective, what we've done is Wells has kind of kept position over here. They did kind of move the units up in here, and also made room for Ely coming over here to receive the attack from Rhodes. So we'll see how they do over here. I think next turn, per the way they're set up over here, they'll probably draw in either the 5th heavy artillery over here and the 34th Massachusetts, and maybe even both, and then reshuffle these around, because as we know, Wharton's units are not going to attack this turn or the next couple turns without giving up victory points. And at this point, they can't give up victory points because the Union already has control of all of these hexes. Once Confederates get control of these, then we'll start thinking about releasing some of those units to potentially attack and give kind of a pincer move on the Union bridgehead over here. So meanwhile, like I said, Ely is coming up here. Very slow progress getting across here. They've got some units up here. They've positioned some up over here. The Connecticut up here, because I do want to have something over here. This may have been a little bit of a mistake, but I do want to have something up here because Rhodes is essentially going to come like this. So we do need to have something arced up over here. And I want to get the 1st West Virginia, who has better cohesion, in here rather than trying to get up there, because it's going to cost more movement to get up there as well. And, getting them and the 4th, as well as probably reserving the 12th back here, hopefully can do it. But it all depends on who wins the initiative the next turn. If the Confederates win the initiatives, they'll get up here first, and it's going to be a tough situation for the Union. I did have some breastworks built here and here for which is this 116th, just so that they have some sort of position on there, although it may be useless at this point, but we'll see. We may see about building breastworks over here, to firm things up. I'm not sure how that's going to actually work. we did have some artillery over here from Thompson's taking shots at these guys up here, which they could see, with no effect. And then the other artillery for the 1st West Virginia, or the 1st West Virginia artillery, has moved down the hill and going to move up here to try to support Ely's troops to the north from Rhodes's attack. Excuse me. So there's our setup for the turn, and that will bring us to the 1700 turn, 5 p.m. And that will bring on the rest of the Confederates. The artillery under King will appear up here. Let's flip this up a little bit. Will appear up here on the road and come in over here. I think they'll position on this high ground, taking pot shots at the Union, as well as maybe taking some pot shots at the artillery over here. It's artillery duels are not really that great in this game, and should be. They really didn't have a whole heck of a lot of effect. Union artillery chances had some better chances than others, but still not as effective. They're really effective against the infantry, so they'll take pot shots against them. Same with the Union back here. And then, of course, Rhodes comes in, and that's where we'll get our bigger action. So once we get that going, I will probably slow things down a little bit and bring you on for more of the action, particularly when we get into some of the battles over in here. Most likely on the next turn, definitely by, let's see, 1700 is next turn. 1800, definitely by 1800, there'll be some action over here that we'll do some playing of each individual activation, over there, and getting some battles and seeing how it goes. I'm hopeful, from a Confederate perspective, that they can break in over here, start driving down this river road to capture as many of the forward hexes as possible within here. So with that, we'll leave it at the end of 4 p.m. turn. Again, please, if you like the videos that you see, please like them. Please subscribe to my channel. Please leave a comment. I like to see your comments, questions, thoughts, ideas, tactics, strategies, leaders, anything. Please go ahead. So with that said, we'll see you for the 5 p.m. turn.